students, welcome to the today's editorial discussion. The editorial is talking about the green transition for India. We know that India is on the brink of the major transformation, one that requires balancing rapid economic growth, rising energy demands, and also the urgent need to combat the climate change. If you can see that generally the economic growth is always related with respect to the energy. We cannot rule out it, right? So generally what will happen if the energy is available at the cheaper price, then there is a possibility of the higher economic growth. But what is the original context? Renewable energy sources are little costlier, non-renewable sources are little cheaper. And if any country is focusing on economic growth, obviously they are going to focus only on the non-renewable and cheap energy resources. This cheap energy is coming from the non-renewable sources only, not from the renewable sources, right? So India is currently at the 6.5% of the economic growth, and since almost a decade it is maintaining a very good economic growth, and on an average it is in the above 6%, including if you can go for COVID period also. So we know that India's energy demands are also increasing. The India's middle class, the total number of the middle class people in India is also increases. If the middle class is increasing, the energy demands also will increase. When the energy demands are increasing, there is a possibility for the good economic growth. So to assist the economic growth, there is a need to give the cheaper energy sources to the market. But we are looking for the renewable energy sources which are little costlier. So we have to understand here that India is very much committed, because India clearly knows it. If it is focusing majorly on the non-renewable energy sources, the current economic growth will not stop at 6%. It will touch even 8% and it will touch even 10% also. But India is very much committed to the climate friendly policies. So we are going to also discuss here, because the country like India is thinking like that. But what is the situation at the outside world? Let us see. Now this article was written under the considerations of the two major events. One, the Trump election to the United States of America as a president. The second thing is Conference of Parties 29 is happening. The first, we can see the Trump administration. Even in the last presidency term also, we have seen that he is not a friend of the climate change policies. He always criticized the climate change advocacy also. That is the reason he pulled out United States of America from the Paris Agreement. So that person came into the picture as a president of the most powerful nation. Why we are talking about his election is very special is in the current global supply chain, if you can see 3 to 4 major players. One of the major player is United States of America. So their trade relationship with they have a very good trade relationship with almost handful number of countries. So taking out United States of America from the equation does not mean any sense when we are talking about the climate change policies. Like you cannot take out USA, you cannot take out India, you cannot take out China. These countries are very much important to combat the climate change. But unfortunately, the Trump does not have that kind of the view about the climate friendly. He's not a climate friendly person. So this is one of the important. The second thing is about the currently Conference of Parties is happening in Azerbaijan. So there are some climate change policies are discussing. So we will see that once the COP29 is over, we are again going to make a video about what is the outcome of this event. So as we said that India is on the brink of the major transformation, one that requires balancing rapid economic growth, rising energy demands, and urgent need to combat the climate change. So with global negotiations like COP29 taking a center stage amidst the geopolitical tensions, India faces the challenge of decarbonizing equitably without compromising on its economic progress. Today, we will discuss 7 key shifts that India must undertake to achieve a resilient, sustainable, and people-focused energy future. The first and foremost shift, we are talking about decentralizing energy systems. First, we need to transition from centralized energy systems to decentralized ones. The distributed energy, renewable energies like rooftop solar can be a game changer. The India's ambitious plan to solarize 10 million households can generate 30 gigawatts of the clean power. However, the cost remains a barrier for the lower income groups. To address this issue, innovative business models like community solar projects can make renewable energy affordable and accessible, which means that the burden has to be shifted from the individual households to the community. So, for example, if the government is constructing a solar rooftop solar panel and giving it to the community and asks the community to pay how much they are using. For example, government is installed a 10 kilowatt facility in some village, and the village has some 200 to 300 houses. The which so those households are at free to choose between the renewable energy to non-renewable energy, and if the government is able to give at the subsidized price, almost at least at the price which is equivalent to the conventional energy system, conventional energy power, the people will definitely show interest to use the non-renewable energy sources with little kind of the awareness. So instead of a lot of currently the lot of focus is on the installation of the rooftop solar systems, so there is a need to shift from that policy to the community solar systems. That is the first shift we are expecting in the coming years. The second shift is we must rethink how we fund our energy systems. Traditionally and conventionally, the energy infrastructure has been a capital expenditure, or which is heavy, but the future lies in the operational expenditure, right? For example, instead of individuals buying expensive solar panels, utilities could install them for communities and charge on pay as you go basis, just now as we discussed. This principle can extend to energy efficient services, district cooling, and even sustainable transportation. The third and important shift the author is discussing about climate resilient investments. So we must shift our focus on short term risks to investing in the resilience, because India faces growing threats from the climate impacts. If you can see that 80% of the India is currently living under in the vulnerable districts. So we are already facing a huge climatic impact. So at this point of time, by climate proofing infrastructure and conducting detailed risk assessments, we can avoid long-term economic losses. So we must understand that resilience in and building a resilient environment is not at all a cost. It is an investment in safeguarding our future. So we need to shift from thinking that resilience is a cost. We have to think that resilience in creation of the resilient infrastructure is an investment for the future. The fourth and foremost important, the author is discussing about plugging into global supply chains. So instead of fixating on protectionist policies, India should integrate into the global clean energy supply chains. Whether in solar photovoltaics or green hydrogen production, collaboration and interdependence will strengthen the energy security. This strategy helps India leverage global strengths while contributing to a rules-based global framework for clean energy trade. So we know that India, if we are not technically strong in certain kind of areas like a green hydrogen mission, we must go for the collaboration activity, and we should not follow the protectionistic policies. We should not encourage any kind of the protectionist policies, and we have to collaborate with the like-minded people, and we have to believe on interdependence to strengthen the energy security. The fifth important topic he is talking about linking decarbonization and digitization, right? So India must combine its decarbonization efforts with digital tools. As we know that over 820 million active internet users, and including a growing rural presence, digitalization can optimize the energy systems. For instance, we can install the smart meters, and AI-driven appliances can manage energy flows efficiently. We have to encourage those kind of appliances to be installed in the houses. making the renewable integration seamless. So this is not just about building infrastructure, it's about creating an intelligent energy ecosystems. Even you can introduce this kind of the digitalization, introducing of smart meters, encouraging people to come forward to use the energy appliances which are taking very less power. So these kind of the things we must focus. The sixth transition, the author is talking about transitioning into a circular economy, because we know that in the circular economy the wastage is approximately zero. The currently the renewable energy industry is in the, it will fit into the definition of the linear economy rather than to the circular economy. So here also there is a small shift is required. So we need to shift from the linear economy to the circular economy, because according to the Council on Energy and Environment and Water, according to their report, the India's solar currently, for example, just we are talking about the recent calculations only, and this is a completely a private report by the CEW. So this study projects India's solar energy could waste the solar energy waste could reach to the 600 kilotons by 2030. So we have to understand this 600 kilotons of solar energy. But if you can see that the solar panels, and if what are the elements are there, mostly silicon and cadmiums they are using. So if you are able to recycle the critical minerals like silicon and cadmium, that is also very much helpful, and those which is also helping to enhance the India's mineral security also. So circular practices extend beyond energy, benefiting water, agriculture and urban sanitation systems. Because if these cadmium and silicon elements, if they are going through the waste, if you are not doing the waste management, they enter into the water and it will go to the agriculture and it will go to the sanitation systems. It is not good. And if you are able to manage that waste management properly, you are able to get back your minerals like silicon and cadmium, and you can use it wherever it is necessary. We know that how much important the silicon material was. So if you are able to manage that waste management in a more proper way, we are able to reduce the potential damages to the local communities, and also we are able to increase the value of the recycling materials. So this is the one of the shift the author is talking about. The final shift he's talking about, the people-centric financing. The green transition must prioritize the people actually. The financial models, the whatever the financing models are there, they should focus on end-use consumers, making it easier for individuals to adapt to the green technologies, whether that is buying an electrical vehicle or installing a rooftop solar or building with energy efficient materials. These are all is not possible without having a proper financing mechanism to the people. So you can introduce some kind of the financing mechanism with ultimate focus on the person rather than only focusing on the infrastructure and investment point of view. So you can do the investment instead of giving, because we are giving lot of incentives for the people who are investing in this kind of the infrastructure creation. Not only that, so those kind of the financing has to look with respect to the people also, because the buying an electrical vehicle will reduce the impact of the will really help the will really help the energy emissions. Installing the rooftop solar will help it. And if you are able to use the energy efficient materials in your building construction like that, that is also will be very much helpful. So you can encourage by giving some kind of the financing mechanism to the people who are using these kind of the methods, and which will encourage the other people also in the community. So by aggregating the individual demands into portfolios, we can create the significant market opportunities, ensuring no one is left behind. So these are the 7 shifts the author is talking about. So when we come to the conclusion, actually, this decade is very much critical for India's energy transition. It's more than a shift from the fossil fuels to the renewables. It's about redefining our relationship with energy, economy, and the environment. So by embracing these 7 shifts, India can lead the way in creating a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient energy ecosystems. So above all, people must remain at the heart of this transformation, driving policies and innovations that shape a cleaner future for generations to come. So These 7 shifts, you please write it clearly, understand it clearly, because it is very much helpful in the mains examination and also in the interview. Tomorrow we will meet again with one more important discussion.